Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Authentically. And y'all, I am so excited for today. It is an honor, a privilege to introduce my very next special guest. His name, from Minnesota, going to South Dakota State University, the Jackrabbits, and killing it as a running back. Going to my favorite team of all time, the Detroit Lions, as an undrafted free agent and making a name for himself in the NFL. He is now from batting over 500 as a baseball player to the NFL to now owning his own business. Y'all better recognize Zion Performance. Y'all better recognize my man, my brother in Christ, Zach Zenner. Give it up, give it up. Woo! A husband, a father, a legend. Zach Zenner's in the house, y'all. Thank you for joining
me. Intro. Love the energy.
Thank you, man. How are you doing today?
Fantastic. It's good. We had a good Memorial Day. It's good weather up here in Minnesota. You know, enjoying the a true spring. We had a 70-degree day yesterday. You can't complain.
Oh, that's amazing. And so you're in Minnesota, yeah?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And I take that back. There was one downside about yesterday. I spent an hour and 20 minutes laying grass seed of dead grass, either from where we were sledding in the winter or my dog. So that's something you deal with. It dies through the winter, right? Doesn't maintain it, doesn't stick around.
Yeah. Well, congrats to you for an hour and 20 minutes doing that thing, doing the dirty work, quite literally, and doing the manly work in the house. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, I'm at the point. So my kids came out and they were taking a little nap, one of them came out and actually ended up helping me for about 20 minutes. And tell you what, free child labor is one of the best types of labor there. You know, when your own kids come and help you out, do a task around the house, it's like you're starting to make it. You're almost there.
And you said they're getting to that age, right? Well, you want to, talk about, your wife and your kids and your family and what their ages are now as they're getting to that point where they can help dad out.
Yes. Yeah. So, I had our oldest, he was born after my third season in the NFL. So he was with me for 2 years in the NFL. The second one was born, or 2.5 years. Second one was born when I was in the NFL as well. So now there are 7, 6, and 3 kids. We can get into it, but the third kid being born was actually what kind of started my health program as it stands right now, because that was a real knock or a kick in the wrong direction, right? Kind of a valley for my own health and wellness standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Wife, Alyssa, she's the homemaker, the hardest job in America, to stay home and take care of them. Well, off to school, of course, the older ones, but school lunches and laundry and potty training right now. That's a job. So couldn't do any of this without her. But yeah, so now it's 7, 6, and 3. I mean, and even a year ago, right? It's just starting to trickle in now and then. And I'm not forcing the issue yet. I will, of course, come down the road. But like, they shoveled the driveway for me once this winter and did a good job. Right? It's like, it's one thing for a kid to help. A kid can always help you. They'll help you when they're 3 or 4.
Right.
It's a matter of if their help actually helps, or if it's just under the disguise of helping, and then you have to do it all anyways, right?
Yeah.
So like yesterday, one of my 6-year-old came out and helped me pick up some of that dead grass that I was raking up to lay the new seed down. So no, it's a lot of fun. It's getting to that point where they can start helping out around the house, and that's going to be a big hill.
That's incredible, man. And how did you and your wife meet?
Wife and I are high school sweethearts. So we met or knew of each other for a long time. Our brothers played on the same Little League baseball team, traveling baseball team. So knew of each other probably since we were like 13, 14. Didn't become a couple didn't start hanging out till junior year, kind of became a couple, I guess, or, officially together towards the spring of my junior year. And I've really been together ever since. So that was in 2009 was junior year.
Yeah.
and got married the early spring after my rookie NFL year. So that was March of 2016. So coming up on 10 years.
Nice. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
That is a
Yeah, hasn't
milestone.
been easy. Hasn't been
Yeah.
easy, but I've got and this kind of gets into, talking about faith, but a very unromantic view of love and just view it as a choice, right? Just like
Mm,
Jesus chose us in the Garden of Gethsemane. He says, think I can't call down angels and end this all right now. I'm
mm.
choosing to do this. That's how my view of marriage and love is hey, this is a choice. It doesn't really matter what I feel or what the circumstances are. I'm going to choose love and choose to keep going.
That's incredible. I love that. Choose love, choose to keep going. It's almost like relating it to sports too, rep by rep, even going through some adversity, continuing to be loyal and to stick with your queen, right? And I think that that's something that we talked about before, right? About how, November 11th, 2017, my wife, my queen, and I got down on our hands and knees and washed each other's feet, similar to what you're
Yeah.
saying, because we weren't given an example, a blueprint of how to have a good marriage, both coming from broken homes. So it's been our goal to break those generational curses. And the only way we know how to do that is from the blueprint, Jesus. And,
Right.
Philippians 2:5 says, in your relationships with one another, have the same mindset as Christ Jesus. And I remember FCA 2012 in Europe, like with other student athletes around the world, washing each other's feet. And that was just a powerful example for me of like, this is the way of how to have
Yeah.
a relationship. And so now that you're coming up on a decade, you've got the experience of 10 years almost of having a marriage, even though through the ups and downs, like you mentioned. What would you say one lesson you've learned from being married that long is?
Yeah, that's a good question. What the one lesson I've learned from being married this long?
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's so many caveats or categories, right? What have I learned about myself? What have I
Right.
learned about marriage? What have I learned about what I need to do? I
Mm,
think it's kind of. I think just what I've learned, I guess, is that to have a marriage over a long period of time, you're not. It goes back to what I just said, but you're not always going to feel like this profound love and passion for each other, right? And that's okay. You're not supposed to. You know what I mean? Like that's not what life is like. And maybe some couples are great, good for you. That's not what my relationship with my wife is like, right? It's not like super passionate, this extreme affinity for each other all the time, right? And I think part of that is we don't get to hang out that much,
mm,
just us,
mm.
right? Which is okay. We're very much enjoying. We love being parents. We're very much enjoying raising the kids, but we don't necessarily have a ton of free time just to like hang out and be together, right?
Mm.
It's finding those little moments, those to maintain the connection during kind of a rough time of raising young kids. And again, we're kind of coming out the other side a little bit
Right.
at 7, 6, and 3, right? It's just soon that next year the youngest will be in preschool. She'll have a couple hours to herself during the day, right? For the first time in 7 years,
Wow.
right? Like
Wow.
obviously we've gone on dates, have babysitters, but like for the first time in 7 years, she'll have a couple hours to herself twice a week when he goes to preschool.
Hmm.
Or like that's what I mean? Like so then and that's hard on our relationship, right? Because then when the kids go to bed, then she wants to do her thing, right? Which I told I haven't had time to do anything I want to do, right? So it's just understanding that to try doing it's not always going to be this hot and heavy love feeling
Mm.
over the duration of your relationship, and then that's okay, and just continue to choose each other, right? There's foundational things to that, right? It's
Right.
like you can't go seek satisfaction or love elsewhere, right? If you're not feeling it, but to work through it if
Yeah.
it's not enough in the more challenging times. But overall, I think for me because there have been certainly, a lot of hard times where like last night, wanted to hang out with her, do something, and she was busy working on stuff on the couch and just had to say goodnight, and that was okay.
Mhm.
So I think that's the biggest thing, is that you're not always going to feel how maybe you feel when you initially get married from a standpoint of time, what you're going through as a family, and just what you're going through in your marriage.
Yeah, totally. And what's some ways that, well, first of all, man, like date nights, right? What's some ways that you guys have found to carve in those important
Yeah.
date nights, especially having, 3 kiddos?
I think for us, it's not date night so much as it is just like moments, right? So like the other night, she was she's a list person. Everything needs to be on a list.
Mhm.
That really helps her function at a high level. And I was folding laundry. That's one of my jobs. I fold laundry. I don't wash it, but I fold it. And I'm folding laundry, and I turned on the one show we kind of can both agree on right now is the British Baking Show. Ever watched it?
Yes. Mary, what's her name? Mary, Barry?
Mary and Paul are the
Paul
two judges.
Hollywood. Yeah.
Paul Hollywood. Anyway,
Love
it's
that
funny.
show.
So I don't before bed. I don't want to watch like an intense. You can kind of come in and out really easily in that show, right? You don't have to like
Yeah.
remember the characters. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't want to watch something intense or that like a thriller. My wife loves thriller movies, right? So like typically like before bed and kind of wind down time, I don't want to watch something that's going to get my mind thinking, like a thought-provoking thing, right? It's very simple, very easy, but it's interesting and it's funny and the challenges are unique. So anyway,
Mhm.
and I love the accents too. And I love British humor, like that sort of sarcastic, self-depreciating humor. So
Yeah.
anyway, we just enjoyed that. We're in the same room doing our own different tasks with this show on and enjoying that show together, right? So it's like
Mhm.
understanding that counts, right? Is it optimal together time? No, not at all. But in the season of our life, that has to count, or else we would never be together, right?
Right. Well, shout out to the Great British Baking Show.
Yes,
Keeping the
I
Zenith
love it.
together along with Jesus.
Helping us, right? And of course, we'll set time aside, be like, okay, like let's commit this weekend. We're gonna
Right.
watch a movie because it takes us like 3 days typically to watch a
Mm.
movie. But it's like, okay, like we got a movie we both want to watch. Let's commit. We got 3 days, right? We'll do that as well. Kind of setting it up ahead of time. That's the biggest thing is scheduling it. Really, that's another way we
Mm.
find
Yeah.
time to do is hey, like this weekend, or it'll be like Monday, like this weekend, let's do this together, right? So that way we both have time to set up our lives to have that time available.
That's good. That's good. And I know you mentioned about how this holistic nutrition journey started really from your third kid, right? You want to talk about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. So, I mean, it started before then, of course, where I was initially going to go to med school before I tried out for the Lions, recognized that wasn't the right path for me for a number of reasons. One of those being prayer and a word from God.
Mhm.
Having kids was another reason to not go to medical school. Not that that needs to prevent anyone else. It just did for me.
Mhm.
And so I was a health coach, nutritionist, right? Work coaching some people. Really, it was when our third son was born that I had my own struggles staying healthy. I had my own struggles finding time to work out and to get the amount of protein that I needed to maintain my lean body mass. And I was struggling with energy. I had to go on a journey of experimentation, um, investment to figure out how to make it work in my life, right? As a business owner, husband, and dad times three. And it took me about 6 months, but I got it figured out. And once I got it figured out, then that updated my program, right? That I was already helping some people, helping them get healthier.
Mhm.
But once I figured out how to make it work in my life with what I had going on, how busy I was, that's when I recognized, okay, this can help a lot of other people and served as a new foundation to build upon for fitting it into someone who's a busy person's life.
Wow. That's Such a great concept, and how have you been able to find a good rhythm between being present, right? Wanting to be there with your family being of utmost importance, right? Like your faith in Christ and then your family, and then being a business owner, right? And then now
Yeah.
NFL agent, and then having that NFL career. Like, how were you able to find a good rhythm to carve out pockets of time um, as a working to help other working professionals, and like having that importance of being present, right? Where without trying
Yeah.
to focus on, like we talked about before, all the craziness that comes with just having your phone near you, but then also taking care of your health and having that holistic aspect, throughout your life.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things for me is if it's not any investment in health is not a net loss, right?
Right.
Most of the time it's going to be a net gain, right? So people think, oh, well, if I take time to exercise, then I won't have time for X, right? I won't have time for my kids, or I won't have time for my wife or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time, if you commit to some sort of regular exercise, even if it's just lifting 3 times a week, right? You will perform better, be more productive, and have more energy
Mm.
than you would have otherwise,
Wow.
right? So so say you exercise for 3 hours a week. That's pretty reasonable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but then you perform at 15% higher productivity. That's a net gain all week long, right?
Right.
It's the same with sleep. If I, you know, if I sleep like, oh, I'm losing time with my wife. Well, if I go to bed at a reasonable time, then I'll be more productive and have more time with her in the early evening the next day, right? So it's
Right.
most of the time these strategies are net gains. They feel
Mm.
like net losses in the moment, but
Yeah.
most of the time they're net gains. And then you have to think about the long term wins and components as well, right? So by exercise, we talk about, hey, with me exercising and keeping for me, it's my back, right? And just my joints in general. When I lift and keep my body strong, my joints feel better. Okay. About 3 years ago, I've slowly been healing my back ever since I was done playing in the NFL. About 5 years ago, it would still be really uncomfortable to sit for long periods of time. Right. And I couldn't, we play this game. We have an inflatable jumper in our basement, inflatable like bounce house. And play this game called Kraken, where I'm basically violently. We have 3 boys, right? So I'm pretend violently, grabbing them with my Kraken arms and
Right.
eating them, slowly, tickle torturing, right? Those sort of things.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no way my back would have been able to hold up and do that if I hadn't kept it strong and lifted, right? And there's no way I'm going to be able to practice and help them with football or be there physically 20 years from now if I
Mm.
don't maintain my physical health. We're talking about long-term availability for your family
Wow.
and being there for those around you. You can't afford not to invest in your health through proper nutrition, proper sleep, proper exercise, right? Or even down the road, okay. Do you want, and it's hard to think about this, but it relates, is you want to be able to pick up and babysit your grandkids, actually be functional and like play with them and participate, not just like bring them to the park and sit on the bench, right, and watch.
Right.
That starts now.
Mm.
And it doesn't stop till you get to that point. So anyway, that's that's kind of the why, right? The deeper why is it's not a net loss, and then you have these long-term implications,
Yeah.
or even more morbid, right? Like, you might not even be around to take care of those grandkids, right? If you don't take care of yourself.
Mm.
So then how do you do it, right? It doesn't take as much as you think, right? So I do a protein shake, kind of meal replacement in the morning. It's very easy. It takes me 5 minutes to make. Scoop, 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 scoop. Got a bunch of goodies in it. Drink it down. So now I've got one meal taken care of. Right now, I just got to worry about 2 meals, getting enough protein, doing what I need to do. The other way is just scheduling time. Right. So if I feel myself getting too busy, I'll literally put on my calendar lift. Right, like lift from noon to 1 or whatever time it is. Right, and it'll be so now no one can book me for that time. It's kind of literally just scheduling myself. Obviously, I have that ability. I own my own business. That's one of the benefits. or just even putting it on your calendar, right? Even if it's on the weekend, a day you're not working, say lift 7 to 8, right? Saturday and Sunday. Now you just have to find one more day, or it's not even lifting, can be anything, right? But just one more day in the week where, hey, I want to get up, 30 minutes earlier and get some exercise in,
Mm.
right? Now you're at 3 days a week. That's enough. That's enough. I mean, it's not optimal. There's a difference, but that's enough. So anyway, I think that's probably one of my biggest strategies is just actually literally scheduling it onto my calendar.
Wow, that's so good. Thank you for sharing that, Zach, because it's such a practical piece of advice, for anyone listening to who, might be trying to figure out like, how can I, be present as a father and a husband, but then also take care of myself. And then, I've thought these things being a new dad, right? Like I want to be there, 24/7, but then shifting the perspective to being like, that will be taking care of myself will help me be there, down the line. And so I love that it's a net gain. And I also love your business and how the Lord has just used you throughout your career to lead you to where you are now, right? You as a husband, as a father of 3, and now being an NFL agent and owning Zion Performance. And I'd love to hear, Zach, like what makes you so passionate about having Zion Performance? I love how it's looking at the holistic perspective of an individual. I mean, physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. And why are you so passionate about it? And what are some of the things that you've seen through your business now that just gets you excited?
Yeah. Well, I love coaching and mentoring others. That's a lot of fun for me. Do that in the same way through the agency, the NFL agency that I'm an NFL agent, as well as this health coaching side. It can be more obvious on the health coaching side because it's a lot more immediate, right? Like, hey, we do these sleep strategies, and 2 weeks later, they're like, wow, I'm sleeping better than I've ever slept, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the good stuff right there. When I have a client, whether it be in the agency or in the health coaching side, that says, hey, I trust you. I'm going to try out your advice and I'm going to give it a shot and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And they try it and it works, or we have success together, right? They did the work, but they took my recommendations and success happened, right? I mean, sleep is a big one. I just was talking to one of my clients this morning. He's like, yeah, I'm sleeping better than I've ever slept. And he's just said, I'm watching like these little fatigue moments I used to have just slowly fade away and drift away. It's like, that's incredible. Like it's so exciting for me to have others feel what I feel almost every day, which is sustainable energy, juice to rip whatever I want to do, business, family, coaching Little League baseball, whatever I need, planting grass seed out in the yard, whatever I need to do, I can do it. I have that reserve, that energy for life, for my family, right? And then when I get other people feeling that way, it's a great feeling. And I get a feeling too that I'm where I need to be, right? If I had my way, I would have been a real estate investor and I would have thrown my phone in the woods. You'd have never heard from me. When I was done playing in the NFL, that's what I thought I was going to do.
Wow.
Instead, I've been sent down this other path and I've touched so many other people, and it hasn't been easier, but it's been better, right? And just that feeling when someone has a revelation of like, I can do this. Like, being healthy isn't as hard as I thought, and this is sustainable, right? And like, I feel great. I love it. And so and then that helps. That's kind of the golden moments, right? In any business, there's kind of down moments or hard moments, but those are the golden moments that certainly keep you going and keep you passionate about it.
That's awesome. I'm glad that with this, you don't have to throw your phone in the woods in Minnesota.
Yeah. Well, see, that's what I wanted. Yeah, I wanted to do that because I would I was one of those guys. I had my phone in my locker all day at the facility.
Okay. Yeah.
On vibrate. The only time I had it on ring was when my wife was pregnant with our second. And I wouldn't check it all day. I'd get to the facility, I'd put it in my locker at 6 a.m. or whatever. Whenever I'd be done, I'd take it out and even then, sometimes I won't even check it till I got home. That
Yeah.
was just, what it was like. And now, right, and I kind of preferred that, but now, my clients need to be able to reach me on the agency side. That can become urgent.
Hmm.
I'll get calls from random numbers, and it'll be general managers or head scouts of teams inquiring about my clients, right? And those are all great and fun, right? It's just different. And like I said, it's not what I would have chosen, but it's better. And my circle of influence now is so much greater than it would have ever been.
Hmm. That's awesome, Zach. And what would you say in the holistic part of nutrition you've seen in regards to that mental health aspect? How have you seen maybe in your own life working through some mental health challenges and the importance of that for everyone and taking care of the mental health portion of that holistic nutrition part today?
The interesting thing about mental health that it's like to a construction, to a hammer, everything is a nail because all the hammer does is hit nails, right? To the surgeon, everything needs surgery. Well, to the nutritionist, everyone needs better lifestyle habits, and then their mental health will get better, right?
Mhm.
So like that's kind of the lens I approach. Like there have been studies where like serial killers were or had their blood studied, and almost everyone had a significant mineral deficiency, right? I'm constantly viewing people through this lens of
Hmm.
they're not where they need to be nutritionally, and they're suffering from it.
Hmm. Wow.
Right. So it's like, okay, like my wife is a great example. Okay, why is she um and even me, I'm this way. Forget about the wife. Let's go to me first. Kids are the same. Kids are all young kids are always challenged. They always move slower and not correctly, right? They're not like, hey guys, let's go outside. No, nothing happens. Hey, Zane, why don't you pick up your toys so we can go outside? Okay, maybe someone picks up a toy, but then they get distracted, right, by something else, or their brother comes and tackles them, right? And then there's a scrimmage, a scrum breaks out.
Hmm.
It's like, guys, clean up, go to the bathroom and go outside. Well, then they clean up. And then one goes to the bathroom, and then the other ends up in the basement. You know what I mean? It's kind of like you're hurting these cats, and it's always like that, always. But if I'm not properly fueled, like I have skipped breakfast, for example, or I haven't had, I'm not as hydrated as I need to be, or I didn't get as much sleep as I needed to get, then my patience level is going to be way lower.
Hmm.
Right?
Right.
And I'm not going to be as patient. Maybe I'm going to react, kind of blow up or become inflamed or react negatively to that situation. Say, oh, and start yelling at kids to get them out of the house, right?
Hmm.
Well, it's like there's other days where I'm very calm and I'm just gently leading people in the right direction, right? So that to me, mental health relates a lot to physical, and you see that play out in the literature as well. Many gastrointestinal conditions like constipation and ADHD are very closely linked. Um, Small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or IBS, and brain fog are very closely linked, right? So I'm always considering mental health from that nutritionist lifestyle perspective and saying, okay, how would this person be acting if they knew what I knew?
Hmm.
Or how would, what is if this person was in their optimal state of being, even me included, would I be acting this way? Probably not. Right. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's kind of my overall perspective on mental health. Of course, there's a ton of great strategies for more specific conditions, right? Like there's certainly compounds that have shown to be beneficial from a supplementation standpoint or anti-inflammatory standpoint that can help. But overall, to me, it's like, mental health is oftentimes a result of lifestyle habits and factors.
Hmm.
And then the mental health is not as strong as it should be.
Hmm. That's good. So having that proper nutrition is a good base that continues to help branch out, help all these other aspects.
Nope. Okay, so like serotonin and dopamine are made from proteins. If you're not eating enough protein,
Mm. Right.
your base layer of serotonin, your happy hormone, is made in your gut. Okay, your base layer of melatonin, your sleep hormone antioxidant, is made in your gut. You get a burst of it from your pineal gland when it gets dark outside, when it's time to sleep.
Mm,
But in general, your base layer of a lot of those functioning hormones, you see, it's like serotonin and melatonin are made in your digestive tract,
right.
right? Dopamine is made from hormones, excuse me, dopamine precursor from protein, right? So if you're not getting those building blocks, if your digestion is not functioning properly, those hormones are going to, aren't going to be where they need to be, right?
Yeah.
Um, Certainly, I think too, I talk about this in my program as well, but there's a spiritual component
Hmm.
and a stress reduction component, right? Making sure you are, and there are certain things that are not nutritional. Some people are doing everything right, nutritionally and lifestyle, correct, and they still deal with depression or they still deal with anxiety, right? And that's okay. You know what I mean? And that's it's. I'm not saying it all is from those lifestyle things. But it's those are certainly a little bit more challenging, right, to overcome. But again, working through those from a spirit, there's other components like spiritual health,
Yes.
making sure you have the right, you're in the right place spiritually, you're doing the right things, and then doing things to avoid burnout from a mental perspective, right? Like taking a few moments, making sure you're not going too hard for too long, right? Those all play a role as well.
That's awesome, man. I'd love to talk about your journey as well, Zach. I think born and raised in Minnesota, right? And then you played baseball and football. You were killing
Mhm.
it throughout your high school career. And then, yeah, if you just want to talk about your journey and then also how throughout your athletic career, how your faith in Christ has helped you and how that journey has been throughout your career, both from high
Mhm.
school to college to the NFL.
Yeah. Well, I think important thing to distinguish or delineate, which is I played on the sophomore team. I
Okay.
wasn't like this I wasn't like this freshman that started on varsity for 4 years in high school, right? Like I played on the freshman team, then I played on the sophomore team, then in junior and senior year I played on varsity, and I didn't receive my only Division I scholarship offer till after my senior year.
Wow.
So it wasn't like this early start, right? And same with high school baseball. I was terrible. I was always good at defense. I was terrible at hitting till the end of my junior year.
Wow.
So I was only really a good hitter for a year and a half.
Okay.
Before that, half of my hits were beating out ground balls to first base.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, I didn't have like I wasn't this early success, right?
Right.
And then got my only Division I scholarship offer, went to South Dakota State.
Mhm.
There I went through one of probably the most challenging time in my life as a true red shirt. Back then you couldn't play at all. Now you can play 4, 5, 6 games, right? Not even, no, excuse me, 3 or 4 games, non-conference games, right? There's all these different rules. When I was
Mhm.
a red shirt, if you saw the field, your red shirt was pulled.
Hmm.
So I did not see the field, and I was a scouty, dummy with a heartbeat, and didn't have friends, didn't have a car. No one had friends, right? Everyone had to, everyone had to find their tribe of people, and
Right.
it was a very hard 3 months,
Mm.
kind of August to 4 months, I guess, August to December, right? But or really November, I guess, 3 months, but emerged from that hardened steel, essentially with the ability to do whatever I needed to do. I felt like I could do anything, right? From a athletic standpoint, right? There's nothing that was gonna be harder than that, right? And even the NFL, certainly the NFL was challenging from like physically winning and winning my reps, right? But like it wasn't harder than being a dummy with a heartbeat, right? And having no friends and not having a car, right? Like that was harder, So that hard time kind of carried me through, right? Really for the rest of my college career and the rest of my pro career. My redshirt freshman year, so my first game in a Jack Harvey uniform, I got to carry the ball a couple times, scored a touchdown.
Mhm.
It just felt like I'd made it. Felt like I was done. It's like everything after this is just icing on the cake because the cherry on top because I felt like I did it. I went through my redshirt year. I went through all those hard times, came back,
Yeah.
played in a game, scored a touchdown in college.
Mhm.
I was like, okay, well, we can go home, you know,
Yeah.
if we need to,
I
right?
think it's
So, you
complete.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, mission completed, right? Ended up
Yeah.
playing, you know, for 9 years after that. My faith throughout my career, high school, my faith wasn't my own. I went to a Catholic church, was raised Catholic. I didn't pursue a lot of the beneficial components of the Catholic Church, like small group Bible studies, things like that. I
Mhm.
did confirmation, I did those things, but I just did them kind of to do them. Um, and then went to my first year of college, didn't do anything related to faith. Then started getting invited to FCA, went, attended, encountered this whole new way of worship and
Mhm.
communion and fellowship. Really, that's, you know, fellowship of Christian athletes, cliche, but it was true, right? This whole
Yep.
new way of fellowship.
Yep.
And from there, my faith just grew and grew. Right, I finished my, just as a representation of how far my faith came. I was going to two different, by the time my senior year came around, I was going to two different church services on the weekend, going to FCA one night and a sermon night the other, because I just couldn't get enough.
Mm.
And then into my NFL career, you know, attending Bible studies, even hosted some Bible studies at my little apartment.
Mm.
A lot of fun, lot of fun, and enjoyed it, and just continued to learn and get better. And now trying to lead my family and take them to church and get them out of the house, which is a challenge, right? As I just talked through,
Mhm.
herding cats.
Right.
But the biggest thing I think that faith does for you is just gives you this foundation of, regardless of what happens, I'm good. Right. So like, meaning, like, I fumbled in the low red zone against the New York Giants in 2016, and that was terrible. And we lost, you know, by 4 points or something, impactful, right? Maybe it was seven, but I felt very responsible. Without my faith, that would have potentially been debilitating.
Right.
Like, I don't know how I would have come back the next week from that,
Mm.
right? Or how I would have responded. Certainly was still disappointed, and I watched the play like 100 times. Um, but you know, when you have the foundation, say, hey, look, I'm loved no matter what. Literally, I can score 20 touchdowns, I can fumble 20 times, and I'm loved the same, right, by the God of the universe. That gives you perspective to continue and say, okay, well, I'm just going to get back and try to do my best and move forward. Right? At least it's kind of like, at least I got this back here. You know, it's kind of like having like this, you know, like, I'm loved card right in your back pocket that you can just pull out and be like, everyone else says I suck. I'm getting death threats on X, right?
Yeah.
Everyone hates me, but I pull this out and say, oh, all right, I'm still loved. Put that back.
Put
You know,
that
the back
back.
pocket,
Yeah. I
right?
love that.
You kind of pat it as you put it away, right? That's kind of
Right.
it's kind of like the picture of your wife, or, you know, you picture your family, right? When you're traveling, just pull that out and like, all right, yeah, like that's what I'm doing this for, right? That's kind of that love card. So that's kind of what I think, where that carried me the most through my athletic career, is that recognition, is that foundation.
That's incredible, man. And Zach, I respect your time. So I know we got a few more minutes left. So to wrap this up, there's a segment called Are You For Real? So it's 4 quick hitters. Are you ready for this segment?
Yes.
All right, Zach, are you for real? Number 1, you know I'm a huge Lions fan, so I would love to hear any of your favorite story or stories about playing for the Detroit Lions.
So many great stories. One of my favorite, you know, really most of the 2016 season, we had like 5 come from behind wins, and it just felt like didn't matter what the score was, we were going to win it. You know, we were going to come back and get it done, and we did, right, many times. And that was our leader on offense there, Matthew. But that was just a really fun year. And then I was able to start in a playoff game in Seattle. That was fun. There's a lot of fun memories from that year. But really, I think, you know, you'll appreciate this. They first threw me in as undrafted free agent. They put me in a huddle in like a on-air goal line period. Okay, we're in spring ball. There's no defense. He throws me in with the starters. It's Matthew Stafford, Golden Tate, CJ, Calvin Johnson and RB, I think Ryan Broyles,
Yeah, yeah.
and then I think Pettigrew
Okay.
and me. Okay, or maybe maybe those numbers are wrong. Whatever. That's the gist of it. Basically, I'm with all these famous people, and I was like, I don't even know if I got the play. I remember like him saying the play, and he said it so fast. And then it was one of those where like it took me like a couple seconds to like process it, like a whole second longer than everyone else, which is a long time, right? Whenever breaks the huddle, right?
Right.
But it's just on air, like there's no consequences to this, right? But I just remember being starstruck in that moment, and after that I was fine, right? But like that was a moment where I was like, wow, right? Like I'm in a huddle with these guys. They're talking to me, you know what I mean?
Right.
And
with Megatron, a Hall of Famer, you know.
yeah. Right. I mean, he's just listening also, but like Matthew's like looking at me and talking, you know what I mean? It's like, and I'm on a team with these guys, right? That was like a definitely like very core memory of my career.
That's awesome. Okay, number 2, speaking of the Lions, being able to live, we talked a bit about this before, in southeastern Michigan, in Detroit, which I'm very proud to be from. Now my queen and my prince and I live in Austin, Texas, and my queen's from LA, so I was able to show her all of what was Michigan, the best coast in America, surrounded by the Great Lakes. What was your favorite part about living in Michigan and Detroit?
I love the food, man. I still miss the food. There's some great food in Detroit. I mean, I don't know, like where it would rank like nationally, but like there was this awesome Italian place right by our place down in Melvindale. I think it was just north of us. There's Brome Burgers, like a very small kind of local chain of like really good high quality burgers and like organic, all the buzzwords that you would want, right? They got like a juice bar in there, you know what I mean?
Right.
Grass fed, organic, all that stuff. Brome Burgers there. So many good like mom and pop Mediterranean style restaurants, right? Like they just ruined me with hummus forever, right? Like I'll get hummus, be like, no, this ain't it.
Yeah,
I just know it's not the real deal. Right? Like I've had real hummus, and like it's not, it's not. This isn't it. Like Al Sultan was probably my favorite one. Really good barbecue as well. We moved to Southfield. I lived in Southfield for 6 months. We lived by Arkins Barbecue.
Okay.
And I've heard there's another place now to rival it, like Rail Yard or something. Anyway, but Arkins Barbecue, fantastic. Right, like sells out at like if you go past 7 p.m., just forget it. There's not any food left. Gosh, I mean, I'm getting hungry just talking about it. There's more that I'm forgetting, but that's what I miss the most. Probably it's just from the city, right? As the food, it's really good. Of course,
I was craving a Coney dog the other day. Those Coney Islands. And
see, it's funny. I had one. I never got into those. I mean, I certainly know that people do enjoy them, but that wasn't one of my like highlight things. But exactly right. It's just like another one of those Detroit style food items. Detroit style pizza. I like Detroit style pizza, like Buddy's Pizza, the Detroiter. Oh, dude, so good. Anyway.
Yeah, once you eat Detroit pizza, you can never go back. We do it right.
Yeah.
And then
anyway.
Number 3, I got to show love to your home state where you're currently residing with your family, Minnesota. What's your favorite thing about being from Minnesota? And, obviously like your favorite spots to go in Minnesota.
Yeah. So Minnesota, one of the things I like about it's a really great place to raise a family, like excellent place to raise a family. There's really good infrastructure here, right? Like one of my kind of complaints, right? We don't want to be negative, but the road situation in Detroit is not good, right? Everyone's very familiar with the potholes and right. That's a problem. It's a problem. People are like, oh, well, it gets cold here. Well, guess what? I live in Minnesota. The roads here are fine.
So y'all do roads right in Minnesota then?
Those roads are fine.
Okay.
That's not an issue. But part of that is it's a really it's a lot less people. You know what I mean? So like Detroit is, people forget how populous, Detroit is in that Detroit metro. But like there's not as many people, which I don't think, not saying that's good or bad, but I think that plays a role potentially in kind of the infrastructure and the quality of the infrastructure here. So that, love that about Minnesota. Love the, and it's similar to Michigan, right? But one of the things I like about Minnesota is the north, right? It's so similar, like Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, right? Everyone either has a cabin or knows someone that has a cabin, right? And you go
right,
and You
Yep.
go up north. It's the same thing at all.
Wow,
You
I
know,
love that.
it's the same thing. It's the same thing out here.
Yeah.
It's just about 5 degrees cooler than it is in Michigan. But it's that same thing. Going up north, and my dad and I own 80 acres in central Minnesota that we go up and manage for wildlife, and then we get to hunt that wildlife. Probably that leads me to probably my favorite thing about the state is just my wife and I are both from here, and so there's a lot of family around. Brothers, sisters, brother-in-laws, sister-in-laws, both grandparents very close, friends, right? So anyway, that's probably the people that a lot of people that I know that I hold dear to my heart are in this state as well.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I remember going up north every summer, going to Upper Peninsula Bible Camp, and
Let's go.
Yes, sir. And then just south of Marquette, Upper Peninsula, and I remember I wanted to show Amber, who's from LA, the fall colors. That was my pickup line. Like, I gotta show you the fall colors in Michigan. And I took her to
yeah, you're not lying though.
Yeah. And then I took her to a Michigan football game. That was like a culture shock with college football culture. And then also I proposed to her in Lake Superior. So that's a memory we'll never forget.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, they're up north, right? They're the same here in Minnesota. I love it.
Yeah. And then number 4, last but certainly not least, I noticed you wore number 31 in baseball, right?
I wore 31 in college.
In college.
And high school football.
High school football.
Yeah.
Okay. And so 31, that spoke to me because, we talked about how my son, right, he was due October 15th, but then he's like, that's a funny due date. I'm coming early. So he was born August 31st. So I got him a custom Lion jersey that has the number 31 on it. And man, thank God, even though he was born 6 weeks early, he didn't need an oxygen tube, feeding tube in the NICU. He was just ready to be here. So I just love we talked a bit about this, but just for the grand finale, number 4 question, like, what's your favorite part about being a dad? And I just want to commend you and honor you for being a dad who's present, who puts Christ first at the center of your home and of your marriage and of your family. And yeah, I just would love to know what your favorite part is about being a dad.
My favorite part about being a dad, I think, is just sharing things that I'm passionate about, and then seeing them either catch on to that or either laugh at me or with me, right, at those things. I think that's the biggest thing for me, right, is like sharing things I enjoy, right? Is it a song? Is it a show? Like, I was a Pokemon kid. I love Pokemon. And
Pokemon?
Pokemon. And I introduced it to them. They didn't know. They hadn't watched Pokemon. And now they watched it. They loved it. And now they're into it. And they're, or like, we started playing Super Smash Brothers together.
Nice.
On the Switch.
Yes.
They love it. They spent all last night drawing up Super Smash Brothers battles on like pieces of paper. You know what I mean? Like, look, Dad, like, look, I'm Incineroar and I'm battling, here's Briggs and he's Donkey Kong, and here's you. Who's your favorite guy? Because I always pick random, like, oh, my favorite guy's Link, right? It's like, okay, I'm gonna draw you as Link. Like, those are like teaching them and helping them get better at baseball, or seeing those small victories when they work at something and have success, or learning how to read, right, and providing value and moving them forward as they work towards independence, right? So kind of like sharing my values and then also helping them move forward in their life when you can actually contribute, right? It's not like they're learning how to crawl and walk on their own. It's like, no, like, here's how I do math in my head. See if this helps you, right? Wow. Those are both a lot of fun. But I think on a larger scale, this isn't like what I enjoy the most about it, but that's what I enjoy the most. But I think the most fascinating thing about being a dad is then you start to reflect on the godly father.
Yes.
Because you think about, like, it's ridiculous. Like, think about this, okay? Name a kid not many kids like to have their nails trimmed. But if you don't trim their nails, there's going to be more pain later on because it's going to get caught on something. It's going to rip, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, you're just like, just sit and let me do this and you'll be way better off. And then you think, and then you just kind of like, it's like someone like hit you in a sledgehammer in your brain. You're like, oh my gosh, I wonder how many times God says that about me.
Right.
Right. It's like, or it's like, just do what I say.
Yeah.
Trust me. I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And it's like, and it's the same as like, all you want is you don't need anything from them. You just want their love.
Yeah,
That's all God ever wants.
totally.
Doesn't need it. I mean, yeah, works display faith, right? Faith without works is dead, but doesn't need anything from us. I'm not
Mm,
twisting his arm. Or my kid's like, look, Dad, I did all this. Like, can I do this? It's like, no, that's not what it's about. But yeah, sure. Like
mm,
this isn't like a bargaining system.
right.
So anyway, that's I think is what's been the most cool about parenthood. It's just, in so many instances you just get hit over the head like, wow, I wonder how many times God says that about me, or like, wow, wonder if this is kind of what this is like, on a cosmic level.
Right. Yeah, that unconditional love.
Yeah. Like I
Right.
just love them no matter what. They could do anything.
Hmm.
Doesn't matter.
Totally. I love that. And I think that's important for people to hear who might have had, an unhealthy view of a father, as we're, hoping to distill that true, or have an unhealthy view of who God the Father is. God the Father, it is the definition of love. And so that's the,
Yeah.
the blueprint for how to be dads in this earth. And that's
Yeah.
beautiful, man. So favorite Pokemon and then favorite Super Smash Bros. Character.
Favorite Pokemon. I don't know if I only know the original. I mean, it's so basic or cliche or whatever common, but I mean, I think Charizard would be one of
Yeah,
my favorites. I think you have to go Charizard.
that's mine. Let's go.
I think favorite Super Smash Bros. Character is Link.
Link. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Zach, I again want to respect your time. We can go on and on, but man, it has been an honor to talk to you today. What are some ways that people can connect with you if they want to get plugged in with Zion Performance and follow you on socials or be able to just track your journey?
Yeah, sure. So I'm pretty active on X and on LinkedIn. Got accounts on there, and going to get more active on Instagram here in a little bit. Zion-performance.com is the website. Can actually book a free consult with me on there if you're interested as well in what I do.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time, Zach. And if it's cool with you, can close us out in prayer.
Do it.
Man, thank you so much, God, for this time that we could spend together. Lord, I just ask and pray that you would continue to bless Zach and his bride, Lord, as they're entering a decade of marriage. Bless them with an abundance of joy, peace, and health, and just bountiful Great British Baking shows to continue to grow closer together in their marriage. And bless their 3 kiddos, Lord. Just raise them up as strong boys and eventually strong men to love you with their heart, soul, mind, and strength. And continue to bless Zach and his business. And I'm helping people all over take care of their health so they can be there for their kids and their grandkids. And just, Lord, I just pray that you would continue to watch over him, watch over his business, and guide his every step. Thank you for this time. And we love you, God. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Dude, that was awesome.
Love it. Love it. Fun catching up. I got to run, but great conversation, and we'll have to do it again sometime.
Sounds good, Zach. Yeah, we'll stay connected, brother.
Take care.
Take care. Well, brother, when I have guests on the show, I like to introduce them with their favorite, like if you were to walk up to the plate, because I know you played some baseball in your career before. What was your walkout song, or what would you want your walkout song to be today in this episode?
Oh, today in the episode. So when I was I played a lot of baseball as a kid. And it's funny, I'm coaching Little League now. It is not a passion of mine. I liked it. I did not love it.
Okay.
But I really liked my walkout song in high school. So we had one of my friends, teammates, one of my friends who was a teammate, his younger brother made us walkout songs, and he was like our MC for us. He was awesome. His name's Henry. Henry Dorgan, and JD Dorgan was my teammate and friend. And I loved my walkout song. It was Ain't No Mountain High Enough. Marvin Gaye, Tammy Terrell. So anyway, that was my walkout song, Ain't No Mountain High Enough. I loved it. Still love it. I actually played it for my kids last night. Funny enough that you'd mention it. Because all I listen to now is Jesus music, actually. Jesus music or techno, like EDM music.
Okay.
And so they don't know. They never even heard that song. Because it's either, and my wife, she mainly listens to, she listens to a lot of Jesus music as well, but she does more like, there's a station here like Cities 97, more like pop stuff. Anyway, they never heard that song before until last night because I never played. So anyway, now my walkout song be today? That's a great question. Right? There's so many good ones I would choose from. I think I might do. Well, it depends on the day, right? But right now, I think a good one would be maybe "Everything" by Toby Mac, or "Glory and Majesty" by John Reddick. You know what that one is?
Yeah.
Maybe we do that one.
Your glory and majesty.
Yeah, heck yeah, dude. That's what my style was, right, in baseball. It's like something silly, something that makes you feel good, right? Main Amount of High Enough is a great encapsulation of that. But I think Glory and Majesty would probably be my top one right now, I think.
Okay. Those are all incredible. And I remember Ain't No Mountain High Enough specifically from one of my favorite movies of all time, if not my favorite, with Denzel, Remember the Titans.
Remember the Titans. Just the classic, right? The best.
Yeah. It is the best. And I remember I watched the scene last night when they took him to the Battle of Gettysburg. And that scene is just so powerful and a great reminder in this day and age of coming together, looking to the past and like, we better get our act together. Denzel said so in front of a Gettysburg, you know, when these players were going through adversity. So
yeah.
I love it.
No, that's a great movie. Great movie, great scene. And you know, being a dad, you know, you'll experience this soon, but my kids are close, man, to watching Remember the Titans with me. They're close, right? Like 7, 6, and 3, right? I gotta wait like 2 more years, probably, you know, for the youngest to participate. And even then, he won't understand. But the older two, right? The 9-year-old, the 8-year-old at that time, right? And then it's time, right? They're like,
wow.
Every favorite show that you have enjoyed, you then get to pass on, or song, like you know, I played the song last night. It's just it's special, man. It's special.
Yeah, and to be able to play the song that was your walkout song to your kids, you've been waiting for this moment. Ain't no mountain high enough.
Right? Well, for them to enjoy it, right, and appreciate it, and just anything that you enjoyed, you get to pass it on, and they can potentially enjoy or not, right?
Right.
Last night, like, I'm dancing around like an idiot. I'm enjoying myself, whether I'm embarrassing them or they're also having fun with me, right? It's kind of the same. Or they're laughing at me or with me. It doesn't matter. It's fun for everyone.
Right. Everyone's laughing at the end of the day.
Exactly. Yeah.